I like to make my videos raw. I like to make them genuine and authentic. The video doesn't really tie in together and won't really make sense until you reach it to the end. So stick around and reach the end and it will make sense.
Guys, the sun is shining. How can we not film a glorious video underneath the sun? When the sun's out, you gotta let it shine on you. Oh man. We're gonna head to Rona. We're gonna grab some caulking, and I forgot what else. We need something else. And a drill bit. 2-incher. 2-incher? Yeehaw, brother. Not gonna lie, that coffee got me cracked the fuck up. Plus the workout. I didn't get to do my cardio because there's only one Stairmaster and it was taken up. So we'll come back later, hit our cardio. Hit our cardio air, bud. This is how I entertain myself now. Filming myself, talking to myself, but talking to you. We all just need a buddy here and there, you know? Y'all know that saying, the worst feeling is when you're in a crowded room full of people and you feel alone. I'm not the only guy who feels that way. So what better service can we do than to make strangers on the internet feel not so alone? We really aren't strangers. We just pretend to be. You know, we walk around in daily life, minding our own business, looking our own way, you know? Human experience. It's a funny thing. It's funny, I'm like the only schmuck who has his sunroof down. It's as if nobody, I don't know, it's like everyone's afraid of the sun nowadays. Civilization. Peak human civilization. Too much comfort, right? And then the slightest thing that feels the slightest bit uncomfortable is almost like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather not. I can just be comfortable instead, you know? And that's really the same thing when it comes to moving your body, to exercise. I don't even like the word exercise. I don't like to label it as exercise or physical activity or whatever, because you're playing, you know, your body, you have a body, right? What's that saying, right? You have a million problems until you only have one, and that's with your health, right? Your body. But it's like people don't say that shit until they get sick. You know what I mean? But then it's like we treat, we crossing? Yeah. We treat exercise, yeah. We treat exercise like it's a chore, like it's a clinical prescription, and that's the shit I fucking hate. You know, you go to a doctor and be like, ooh, you should exercise more. You know, it's like that's the last thing I want to do coming from a doctor, you know what I mean? It's like we have to change our relationship to movement. It's something you do to have fun, you know, it's a form of self-expression. It's a form of feeling alive, you know? And of course, there's so many different modalities, right? A bodybuilder feels alive when he's doing fucking bicep curls and he's just like, yeah, look at my biceps, all veiny and fucking huge, yeah, right? The pump. Meanwhile, someone who does calisthenics or does gymnastics is all like, oh my gosh, look at the graceful elegance of my body, moving it such gracefully in time and space. You know, transcending time and space into infinity through the human body. Right? Or the powerlifters, yeah, I'm gonna lift 700 pounds, yeah. You know? It's like pick your craft, right? Pick your poison. But in this case, it's your medicine. It's your medicine. It's funny how we don't want to take our medicine, so I hate framing it like that. But we do love poison though. Why else do we drink alcohol? Why else do we fucking smoke? Why else, like, it's like we humans have a funny relationship with medicine and poison, you know? Nobody wants to take the medicine, everyone wants to take the poison. So treat exercise like poison. You get the picture I'm trying to paint, but don't turn it into literal poison. You know, when you get so obsessed over like, let's say bodybuilding at its extreme, where you get all roided up and stuff, because it's all, well, let's be honest, it's the reason you would go that far is probably out of deep insecurity, because you fundamentally don't feel like you look good enough. It's the same reason why people get plastic surgery, right? And there's a book that the people who get plastic surgery, but their mental image of themselves hasn't shifted. I think it's called psycho-cybernetics. The people who get plastic surgery, but even after the surgery, their self-image hasn't shifted. They still feel unattractive. They still feel depressed. They still feel like shit. But the people whose self-image shifts after the surgery, they feel great, right? They feel like a different person. And it's like, you can look at yourself in the mirror and your literal physical expression has changed. But the way you feel about yourself, right? Whether you still feel shitty, then you still feel shitty. But if you can shift that, right? Then you feel great. So I'm saying it's all a mind game, guys. Physical activity, you know, fitness, these things that we all do to try to ease our insecurities about ourselves, right? Making $1 million, you know, climbing up some status job, becoming famous, or some of us just want a simple life, right? But the harder we strive for things, our deepest desires are just a reflection of our deepest pain most of the time, right? So it's like, so long as, god damn, why is this all jammed up? So it's like, you need to chase your goals with awareness, because chasing goals without awareness is literal suffering. And you'll go on this hamster wheel your entire life trying to get to the thing, and you'll never figure out why. You still can't feel happy. So, I mean, my mission on this channel is to point this out to you guys. And I like to do it with the gym, with fitness, with training, with personal development, with spirituality, and these like mindset talks. This is what gets me really fired up. So I'm gonna head into the store now. See you guys in a bit. Whenever you're stressed out, guys, remember, it's not that serious. I know how funny that is to say when you're not stressed out, because it's easy to say, but when you are stressed out, you're just stressed out as fuck, and you're like, fuck this guy. But the times you remember that, like, life is in the simple moments, you know, you don't have to, like, I was just so happy going to the store and even just like talking to the cashier, right? Like, spreading some positive energy. But of course you can't spread it if you don't have it. And it's like, we get so caught up in the stresses of life that we feel sapped of all positive energy, right? And it's like, then the world reflects it back to us. So we got these this set of the hole saw kit, and we got some caulk, some big white caulk. So yeah, we give philosophy lessons as we go on through daily life. That's kind of the point. Then that's kind of my entire philosophy as well, right? You want to go through life. We make the mistake, and I made this mistake for so many years, right? Especially during, you know, while I was graduating out of high school, and then while I was in new university. It's just like, I have to find my purpose. I have to find my purpose. I don't know what my purpose is, right? And it's like, it's almost like the harder I looked, the more contracted I felt in myself, and the more anxious I was, right? Because I was just like, all day my head was just cranked. You know, my mind was cranked on. It was like, fuck, I don't know what to do until I find my purpose. I don't know. You know, like literally my head would just be spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, feeling overwhelmed by this fact that like, I don't know how to be happy. I don't know how to be at peace. I don't know how to be still inside. And then it's like, I need to find that thing, right? My purpose. So that I can unlock the peace, that I can unlock the, oh, I get it, right? So I can unlock the, oh, you know, everything feels all right. Right? And it's not just purpose that we do this with. We do this with relationships, right? We seek love, right? We get a taste of, you know, that feeling in your heart when you see someone, you're like, oh my gosh, like, could they be it? You know, and you start attaching love, you start seeking it through them. Right? We project this mental image of the thought of who we create them out to be, this mental fiction, rather than who they actually are, right? And then so I guess that's the definition of a crush, right? When we project that and then we feel lackluster, we feel empty because we don't have them, and then it's like this, like we're in a slave relationship to that person. We put them on the pedestal, right? So I'm giving all of these examples to just illustrate the games that our mind plays to try to get us to feel like we're not enough, right? Another easy example, career, right? University, right? As you're entering early adulthood, you know, you feel this deep, I would say it's a fear, right? You don't really feel inspired to go to university or go to college. You feel like it's a fear, like you have to make it to a good one or else your life will fall apart. Certainly I felt that way. Fuck, I shouldn't have went down this road because it's clogged up the motherfucker. But that gives us more time to talk. Right? Fear. And then it's like, I remember when I actually got into my dream university, you know, a little bit of part of me felt excitement, but mostly I just felt relieved. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God. It's almost as if I was hanging off a ledge and I managed to climb back up, right? I was on the precipice of death, but I just narrowly escaped it. That's what it felt like, psychologically. And we continue to repeat this pattern. You know, luckily for me, not to brag, but I guess kind of to brag, right? I got over it during university. I realized the whole thing was kind of bullshit. I was just doing things out of fear and not out of like things that actually inspired me to live my best life. So I realized that in university, and then I dropped out of my master's that I had worked so hard for. But my point is, most of us continue to go on playing that game of fear and lack as we head into the workforce. And I watch my friends do this, right? As we head into the workforce, it's like, oh, this is the next step. It's like the next level of university. It's like it's like from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3, grade 5, you don't really feel it, right? But grade 8 starts coming around, grade 9, grade 10, starting to kick up a little, that feeling of anxiety, like, am I gonna make it? Grade 11, grade 12, right? And then grade 12 is this big anticipation for the big event of university. And then you get into university, and then university is all about the big anticipation for the event of career. Of, you know, am I going to make it to a good job? Am I going to, are they going to like me? Am I going to have good opportunities, right? All these things we start stressing about. And so we keep playing this game. And some people, I guess, are happy to play it, you know? It's kind of like all you really know, but I would say like 98% of us have this creeping feeling when something isn't aligned with like who we genuinely want to be in the life we want to lead, right? But it's obviously way easier to push that feeling down than to actually, you know, let it come to the surface, because it's uncomfortable as fuck, you know? uncomfortable as fuck. So it takes a certain level of courage to face it, right? Because it's a dragon inside of you. So we're gonna come back to, we were talking about fitness earlier, right? Why do we do fitness? Why do we exercise? Why do we move our body? It's an expression of our physical freedom, right? To move our body in space confidently. Fitness to me was the gateway to realizing I had so much more potential out of life. Because when you see the potential in your body, if you like actually loved it and you treated it like it has potential beyond your wildest dreams, you start seeing it in every other area of your life, right? You realize you do have permission to be happy. You do have permission to not feel anxious all the time. You do have permission to walk around confident, like you're the shit, you know? Well, you know, without being too egotistical. But I repressed my ego for a long time, and that's a whole nother discussion with spirituality and stuff. But the point, there's so many points I want to make. I want this to all come together for you. I'm going to talk about how physical movement ties into your confidence and ties into how fucking awesome you feel on a day-to-day basis. Your energy, your emotions, your mood, your feelings is directly tied to your body, to your physical movement, to your relaxedness or tightness. The simplest example is like even today I walked into Rona, right? I walked into the store, the hardware store, the home improvement store. And I was comparing myself. I noticed, right? Because I noticed before the way I walk, I would have no hip, it would be stifled. It would be robotic. It would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Small. It would be, I would try not to take up space. I would try to take as little space as possible. And that just reflected my own lack of confidence, right? Obviously, you hear like body posture is so related to confidence, to well-being, to psychological health, right? So in the past, my movement would be like very little. I'd be like stiff. I'd be stiff, right? But compared to now, the way I walk is just very relaxed, you know? You know, it's like, it takes up space in a way that I was afraid to do before, right? So my body's a lot more loose, right? Lower back pain, I used to have lower back pain, right? And a huge part of that reason was because how stiff I was, right? I was so stiff. And a lot of people have lower back pain because they're fucking stiff, you know? When you walk, you're actually supposed to, like your back is supposed to rotate back and forth as you stride. So in the past, I would just be like, no rotation. Now, I let it rotate naturally. What is the relevance? I'm tying physical freedom together with mental freedom and spiritual freedom and creative freedom. And the freedom to feel like you can actually do what you want with your life and create what you want out of your day. Like, all of it comes together, right? The simplest things in your day become joyful acts. They're no longer this like, I'm doing this task so that I could get to an end destination so then I can feel good about myself. But it's like, I'm doing this task and I'm being awesome. I'm feeling great while I'm doing it. And so every step of the journey then becomes joyful, becomes enjoyable, right? You're enjoying the moment. You enjoy your life. So of course you become magnetic in that sense. There's no effort involved. You're not trying, you know, you're just living your life and living your best life, you know? There are days where I wake up and I'm like, who am I to tell people how to be happier, how to be fitter? And I look for all these reasons of like, oh, well, I should just narrow myself down. Maybe I should be a fitness coach, but I don't have the best physique. So like, who's going to trust me? Right? We get into our head about all of these thoughts about like why we're not good enough, why we can't do something. But you realize like what gives me the authority to help people become happier? I think it's the simple fact that I know what it's like to be unhappy every single fucking day and feel like life is a complete drag. And like feeling completely purposeless, even though I knew the things I had to do. Feeling empty despite all that. To now being a completely different person in the sense of like, everything is awesome. You know, and like, what better way to prove it than to live it? You know, of course, I don't have every day is like all energetic and all like vibrant and all like fantastic and stuff, right? Of course, dude, I have days where like these self-doubts and these things come up and like I get in my head, I'm all like, oh, I don't, like who, you know? But the thing is that you rebound faster. You rebound within minutes, within hours, rather than weeks, months, and years, right? In the past, maybe I'd feel like a good day every 9 months or something. And then it would be back to like, oh, you know, like it feels gloomy again, right? So it's like, you keep asking yourself, it's like, well, what was it about that day that made me feel happy, right? You try to decipher the patterns of these things. And then, you know, maybe a year later, you start noticing, you know, like before it's like every 9 months, I would only feel a sense of like actual peace and contentment. But now I like feel it a little bit more, you know, I feel it like maybe once every 3 weeks or something, right? And then it starts to becoming, oh, I feel it once every, you know, once every, I feel it like 3 times a week, right? And it's just about like constantly, it's like your baseline improves as you improve on your own alignment to your own path. I'll put it that way, right? And not bottling stuff up, not pushing things away, right? Coming to acceptance of what your life is in the present moment, and also what it has been in the past, while recognizing that what the past is really a story that you keep telling yourself in the present. And obviously, shifting the story in the present literally shifts your past, because the past is not real. Now, easier said than done, right? Because it's like these loops are on repeat so much that we have to almost like, we have to decondition the neural pathway and start building a new one that's stronger, right? The same thing with the future, the way we associate with the future. When we can get to the place where we can associate with the past from a place of peace and happiness and acceptance, and the future from a place of inspiration, of excitement, but not waiting for it, allowing that feeling to come in the present, then we merge all of these things together and we become the fullest version of ourselves. If I'm going to bottle up into one sentence, right? Of course, saying words is, the whole journey is learning this embodiment, right? And I can only point you to it through words. But it's like, this is why we need to explore daily life. We need to reflect on things. We need to be self-aware of things, right? And of course, the other trap is that self-reflection can become overthinking, right? Because you get way too in your head and you start thinking of trying to solve problems from the same state of consciousness that created it, right? That's the Einstein quote. I've been riffing on a lot. This video is gonna be getting long. Like, honestly, like, if you stick around, like, you're a real one, and like, I genuinely just want to create the best content that can actually help people just become happier versions of themselves, you know? Build a better body, Create a happier version of yourself, right? Do like step into the fears that you've always been afraid of, right? And it will look different for everyone. So I don't, like, there's not this one size fits all solution, which is like what I hate about this, a lot of the online space and coaching and all of this stuff, right? Because everyone's selling you this dream of, oh, follow this drop shipping business and make your first million, and then you'll be like, the outcome, the transformation is that you'll make $1 million and then you'll be happy because you're successful, right? Or, you know, gain 30 pounds of muscle and shred down to 10% body fat, and then you'll be happy because you'll be attractive and confident and yada, 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 right? I'm going to leave off on this note. The goals, the attainment of these things are really not the point. The point of attaining these things is because you think they'll help you get through your insecurities and what you feel like you lack in life, right? But there's a shortcut, right, to where you can feel awesome about yourself and head towards the goals that you want in just a state of flow, right, where every day doesn't feel like a battle, but it feels like it feels like alignment, it feels like peace, it feels like joy, it feels like you're becoming the person you are and you just couldn't be happier. And then when you do have the results that you want, it's like, this is who I am. This is who I've always been. Anyway, okay, I'm going to stop. All right, see you later.